The door swung open like a thunderclap in the quiet haze of my afternoon stupor. And there he was, Jack, my rock-solid best friend of 8 years, frozen in the frame with keys dangling from his fist. I stood there, heart slamming against my ribs, water still dripping from my skin onto the bath mat, every inch of me bare and betrayed by the steam that hadn't cleared from the bathroom mirror. In that split second, his eyes locked on mine. Not my body, but something deeper cracked open between us. A fault line neither of us knew was there. I scrambled for the towel, but it was too late. The damage was done. Or maybe it was the beginning. Jack's face flushed crimson, his usual cocky grin nowhere in sight, replaced by a raw, unguarded stare that pinned me in place. Brandon. Shit. Man. Icery. Door was unlocked. He stammered, backing out, but not quite, his broad shoulders filling the doorway like he couldn't decide whether to flee or fix it. We'd shared dorm rooms, road trips across the dusty backroads of Texas to the neon buzz of Austin, late-night confessions over cheap whiskey in our cramped off-campus apartment in Seattle now, where the rain pattered endlessly against the windows like it was trying to wash away our secrets. Jack was the straight arrow, the guy who chased skirts at frat parties and talked endlessly about the cheerleader he'd marry someday, while I buried my truths in poetry slams and anonymous hookups in the shadows of Capitol Hill. But that afternoon, with the city humming below us in the gray Pacific Northwest chill, everything I'd hidden behind bro hugs and inside jokes teetered on the edge of exposure. He slammed the door shut behind him, but the echo lingered, vibrating through the floorboards. I yanked on jeans and a faded band tee, my pulse a wild drumbeat, cursing the faulty lock we'd joked about fixing 100 times. Down the hall, Jack paced the living room, his work boots tracking mud from the construction site onto our threadbare rug, the one we'd scored from a garage sale in Portland last summer. Dude, forget I saw that, he called out, voice strained, like he was trying to laugh it off, but the words caught in his throat. I emerged, hair still damp and spiking at odd angles, forcing a chuckle that sounded hollow even to me. Yeah. Well, next time knock like you mean it, asshole. We both laughed then, the kind that bubbles up from nerves. But his eyes darted away too quick, landing on the TV remote instead of me. The Mariners game flickered on silently, a distraction we both clung to as he cracked open a couple of IPAs from the fridge, handing me one with fingers that brushed mine longer than necessary. That night, the rain turned biblical, sheets of it lashing the windows as thunder rolled in from the sound. We ordered Pete's extra pepperoni, no pineapple. Our ritual and sprawled on the couch, pretending the air wasn't thick with unspoken static. Jack rambled about the site, how his boss had chewed him out for a mismeasured beam, but his words trailed off mid-sentence, gaze flicking to me sidelong. You good, Bran? For real? I shrugged, peeling the label off my bottle. Yeah. Just. Caught off guard. You. He nodded too fast, chugging his beer. Totally. Brothers don't sweat that shit. But the way he shifted, knees bumping mine on the coffee table, said otherwise. We'd always been tactile, arm around shoulders at games, playful shoves during hikes up in the Cascade, but now it felt charged, like static before a storm. By midnight, the power flickered out, plunging us into darkness broken only by the glow of our phones. Truth or dare? Jack suggested, half joking, his voice low in the gloom. I picked truth, because dares felt too risky now. What's the one thing you've never told me? He asked, and the room shrank around us. I hesitated, the words clawing up my throat. I'm gay. Jack. Have been since we were kids sneaking smokes behind the high school gym. The confession hung there, heavier than the rain outside. And for a heartbeat, silence swallowed us whole. He didn't bolt, didn't recoil, just leaned back, exhaling slow. Knew it. Man. Or suspected. Doesn't change a damn thing. But the way his eyes searched mine in the dim light said maybe it changed everything. The next morning dawned muggy. The kind of Seattle summer day where the fog clings like regret. Jack was up first, brewing coffee strong enough to wake the dead. His flannel shirt rumpled from the couch, where he'd crashed after our talk stretched into the wee hours. We dissected at Almy crushes on faceless guys in college bars. His oblivious straight guy armorant somehow. We'd landed on solid ground again. Or so I thought. Waffles? He asked, flipping one in the iron with a grin that almost reached his eyes. I nodded, sliding onto a stool at our tiny kitchen island. The scent of vanilla cutting through the tension. But as we ate, forks scraping plates, he grew quiet, staring out at the ferries cutting through the bay. What if it's not just you, Bran? What if I've been lying to myself too? The waffle turned to ash in my mouth. Jack. The king of locker room bravado. The one who'd high-fived me through my first heartbreak over a girl who ghosted him. I set my fork down, heart twisting. Jack, you don't have to say that. Not for me. I'm not. His voice cracked, raw and real. That moment yesterday. Seeing you like that. It wasn't disgust. It was something else. Woke me up. We didn't touch on it again that day. He headed to the site. I to my shift at the indie bookstore downtown, shelving queer lit and stealing glances at customers who reminded me of him tall, broad, with that effortless charm. By evening, the apartment felt smaller, walls pressing in with possibility and peril. Dinner was takeout Thai, spicy enough to burn away the awkwardness. But when our knees knocked under the table, neither pulled away. Weeks blurred into a tentative new normal. Jack started lingering after work, showers running longer, doors left ajar just a crack. I'd catch him watching me, not leering, but studying, like he was piecing together a puzzle with my face as the final piece. One Friday, after a brutal shift hauling lumber in the downpour, he stripped off his soaked shirt right there in the living room, scars from old skateboarding wipeouts glistening on his chest. Your turn to walk in, he teased, but his eyes held a question. I laughed it off, tossing him a dry tea. But inside, embers stirred. That night, buzzed on microbrews from the local taproom, we ended up on the fire escape, city lights twinkling below like fallen stars. Remember that road trip to Yellowstone? He murmured, shoulder warm against mine. The way you looked at the geysers, like they held all the answers. I envied that. You were always the brave one, I whispered, turning to him. Our faces inches apart, breaths mingling in the chill air. Then, tentative as a first step on ice, his hand found mine, fingers lacing tight. The kiss that followed was clumsy, desperate teeth clashing, hands fumbling like we'd both waited lifetimes for this. Jack tasted like hops and hesitation, pulling back first with wide eyes. Fuck. Bran. Is this us? Yeah. I breathed, thumb tracing his jaw. If you want it. He did. God. He did. But dawn brought the crash, the guilt twisting in his gut as he paced the kitchen. Coffee going cold. What if I'm just confused? Using you to figure shit out. His voice broke. Vulnerability cracking his facade. You're my best friend. I can't lose that. You won't. I pulled him close, his heartbeat thundering against my chest. We'll figure it together. But figuring it meant facing the world outside our bubble. Jack's crew at the site ribbed him endlessly about his new glow, oblivious to the truth, while my poetry group eyed me with knowing smirks, whispering about the straight boy who'd wandered into my orbit. Tensions simmered a bar fight when some drunk asshole catcalled us walking home from a show, Jack's fist connecting before I could stop him. No one touches you, he growled, knuckles bloody. And in that fury, I saw his fear laid bare. Fall crept in with crimson leaves carpeting the sidewalks, mirroring the heat building between us. Stolen moments piled up, his hand on my thigh during movie nights, lips brushing my neck in the laundry room, bodies entwining under sheets that smelled of us. But doubt shadowed every hijack's late nights scrolling forums on his phone, emerging pale and distant. Saw this story online. He'd say, voice tight. Guy like me. Came out. Lost his family. What if? Your folks love you. I'd remind him, echoing the calls from his conservative Texas kin. All barbecues and Bible verses. And mine. They've got my back since day one. My Seattle-raised parents had thrown me a coming-out party with rainbow cake. But Jack's world was different, frigid lines he was only starting to blur. The breaking point hit during Thanksgiving break. We drove south to my family's cozy bungalow in the suburbs, rain giving way to crisp evergreens. Jack fidgeted the whole way, white-knuckling the wheel of his beat-up Ford. At dinner, my mom sharp-eyed and warm-squeezed his hand under the table. Anytime you're ready. Sweetheart, we're here. He choked on turkey, tears welling. And later, in the guest room, he shattered. I love you, Bran. Not just as a friend, but this. It's terrifying. I held him through the sobs, our bodies a tangle of limbs and whispered promises. Love isn't a straight line. It's a mess we navigate together. Back in the city, winter gripped Seattle like a vice, holidays looming with their weight of expectations. Jack's family invited us to Austin Neutral Ground. They thought, but he declined, citing work. Instead, we decorated our tree with thrift store ornaments, string lights casting a golden haze over the living room. On Christmas Eve, snow flurried rare and magical outside, and Jack dropped to one knee, not with a ring, but a simple silver bracelet etched with our initials. Not proposing. He laughed, voice thick. Just claiming us. We made love by the fire we jury-rigged in the hearth. Slow and reverent. His touches mapping every scar and story on my skin. You're my home, he murmured against my collarbone. And in that moment, I believed we'd weather any storm. But storms brew unseen. New Year's Eve brought the call Jack's dad. Voice gravelly over the line. Prying about his single status and that roommate of yours. Jack hung up. Face ashen. He knows something. Or suspects. Panic edged his words. And for the first time, I saw the chasm between his worlds. We fought that night, ugly words hurled like daggers. You think I don't get it? I yelled, chest heaving. I've hidden too. Jack. But love means showing up. All of you. I am. He roared back, slamming the door to crash on the couch. Dawn found us raw. Apologies murmured over cold coffee. I need time, he admitted, eyes pleading. To tell them. On my terms. I nodded, throat tight. We have time. Spring thawed the ice, but not the fractures. Jack came out to his crew first casual over beers at the site. Yeah, I'm with Bran. Deal. Punches on the shoulder followed. Acceptance gruff, but real. My world embraced us, fully poetry readings where we held hands unashamed. Hikes where we'd steal kisses under waterfalls. Yet the call came anyway. Mid-May. As cherry blossoms dusted the parks. Jack's mom. Tearful, your father's had a heart scare. Come home. Son. We need to talk. The flight to Austin was turbulent, mirroring the storm in his eyes. I waited in the hotel while he faced the Mowers stretching like wire. He returned at midnight, hollowed but whole. They cried. Hugged me. Dad said, love who you love, as long as it's true. Tears streamed down his face, and I pulled him close, our sobs mingling. Summer bloomed with tentative joyride trips retracing our youth. From Seattle's markets to California's sun-soaked coasts. Jack proposed for real on a cliffside overlook, ring glinting in the sunset. Everything changed that day I walked in. He said, voice steady. You showed me who I could be. We married in a backyard ceremony under Seattle rain that cleared to rainbows. Friends and family toasting to messy truths and unbreakable bonds. Years later, with the adopted kid tugging at our legs and a house overlooking the sound, I'd catch Jack watching me, still that same unguarded stare from the doorway. And I'd know vulnerability isn't the end. It's the spark that forges something eternal. But let's rewind to that summer after the proposal, when doubts lingered like summer haze. We'd rented a cabin in the Olympics. Pines whispering secrets. Lake water cool against our skin. Jack dove in first, surfacing with a whoop, water sluicing down his chest. I joined him, our splashes echoing laughter long suppressed. That night, fireflies danced as we lay on the dock, stars wheeling overhead. Remember our first kiss? He asked, fingers tracing constellations on my arm. Fire escape. Clumsy as hell. I grinned, pulling him atop me. Love-making under the open sky felt like defiance, like claiming every hidden year. Back in the city, life ramped up. Jack's promotion to foreman. My first book deal for a collection of queer coming-of-age tales. But normalcy bred complacency. Arguments flared over small things, forgotten chores. Late nights at open mics. One evening, after a slammed door, Jack found me on the balcony, staring at the fairies. "I'm scared we'll lose this," he confessed, wrapping arms around me from behind. "We won't. Because we choose it. Every day." Fall brought Tessa, homophobic client, at Jack's site. Slurs muttered under breath, testing his resolve. He confronted it head-on, quitting on principle, landing a better gig with her inclusive firm. Pride that year was electric. We marched arm in arm, rainbows on our sleeves, his hand steady in mine through the cheers. Winter whispered of family. Jack's parents visiting. Awkward at first, thawing over turkey and tails. My folks grilled him gently. "Treat our boy right." And he did, with a wink and a promise. Spring renewal came with the positive test. Our son, adopted from a Seattle agency. Tiny fists waving like flags of hope. Naming him River, after the waters that carried us here. Years folded like pages. River's first steps in our backyard. Jack teaching him to fish off the pier. Me reading bedtime stories of boys who found their truths. Challenges came: health scares, job losses, the world's cruelties, but we faced them woven tight. On our 10th anniversary, back on that fire escape, Jack raised a glass to the naked truth that set us free. I clinked mine, heart full. To us. Always. And in the quiet after, as rain pattered soft, I knew change isn't a moment. It's a lifetime of choosing love, raw and real, against all odds. The cabin retreat marked a turning point, but not without its shadows. That first morning, sunlight slanting through knotty pine. Jack woke me with coffee and a kiss, soft, unhurried. "Let's hike to the falls," he suggested, eyes bright with that boyish spark I'd fallen for. We packed lunches, boots crunching mossy trails, conversation flowing easy about everything and nothing. River's name ideas. My book tore nerves. His dreams of starting a crew for queer youth in trades. The waterfall roared like applause when we reached it, mist veiling us in rainbows. Jack stripped to boxers, cannonballing into the pool below. "Your turn," he yelled, surfacing grinning. I hesitated, old insecurities flickering, then dove. Water shocking cold, emerging to his whoops. We treaded there, bodies close, his hand finding my waist underwater. "Beautiful," he murmured, not just about the falls. Picnic on the rocks followed, sandwiches soggy but perfect. Stories spilling his high school crushes on teammates he never named. My hidden sketches of him in our dorm days. Laughter bridged the gaps, but his shadows lengthened. He grew quiet. "What if I mess this up? For you. For us." I cupped his face, thumbs brushing stubble. "You won't. We're past the ifs." Back at the cabin, storm clouds gathered, thunder rumbling distant. We cooked pasta by lantern light when power dipped. Wine loosening tongues. Truth, biggest fear. I asked. Twirling noodles. Losing you to my bullshit. He admitted. Vulnerability cracking his voice. We talked till midnight, his internalized shame from Texas sermons. My walls from years of invisibility. Sleep came tangled. His heartbeat my lullaby. City life resumed with vigor. Jack's new job mentoring apprentices. One a trans kid finding footing in tools and timber. Like me. Back then. He'd say. Pride swelling. My book launch packed the store. Jack in the front row. Eyes misty as I dedicated it to the man who walked in and stayed. Pride weekend exploded in color floats, thumping bass. Our hands linked through the crush. River. Too young to march. Stayed with my parents. But we carried his tiny rainbow flag. A kiss in the crowd drew cheers. Jack's grin fierce. This is home. Yet autumn winds carried whispers of strain. Jack's dad called more. Probing visits. Old habits dying hard. Bring Brandon. He'd say. Tone warming slow. We flew south for Thanksgiving. River babbling in his lap. Dinner was tense at first, forks clinking. Topics skirting edges, but then stories flowed. Grandpa's war tales. River's giggles melting ice. As we cleared plates, Jack's dad pulled him aside, emerging with a clap on the back. Proud of you, son. Winter holidays blended families me folks' progressive cheer enmeshing with his kin's cautious warmth. River unwrapped toys amid chaos. Jack and I stealing glances. Gratitude thick. Spring brought River home, officially court day a blur of papers and tears. His first night. We rocked him together. Tiny breaths sinking ours. Our family. Jack whispered. Wonderstruck. Summers stretched lazy, beach days at Alki. Sandcastles crumbling like old doubts. Jack built a treehouse in the yard. River's kingdom. Teaching knots and dreams. Challenges punctuated me writer's block after the second book flopped. Jack's shoulder injury sidelining him months. We leaned hard. Therapy sessions, unpacking baggage. Date nights reclaiming spark. Anniversaries anchored us. 5th, hot air balloon over the sound. His vow renewed midair. 10th, vow renewal under oaks. Riverflower boy. Guests toasting resilience. 15th, quiet dinner. River off to college. Empty nest echoing. Think we did okay? Jack asked. Gray threading his temples. Better than okay, I said, hand in his. We built a life from a glance. And as stars pricked the dusk, love felt not fragile, but forged enduring. Electric. Eternally ours. The years with River layered on like sedimentary rock, each one building depth to our foundation, but not without the occasional quake. By his toddler tantrums, Jack had mastered the art of distraction, cartoon voices, and tickle attacks while I handled the bedtime negotiations, spinning tales of brave boys who loved fiercely. Our home, a fixer-upper in Fremont with troll statues guarding the bridge nearby, became a haven, walls papered in River's finger paint masterpieces, shelves groaning under my expanding library and Jack's tool manuals. One crisp October afternoon, as leaves turned the streets to fire, Jack came home early, face etched with that familiar furrow. Boss cut hours again. Recession bullshit. He dropped his lunchbox with a thud, shoulders slumping. I pulled him to the couch, River napping upstairs, and let him vent the layoffs looming. The fear of providing less. I feel like I'm failing you both. You're not. I massaged knots from his neck. Voice steady. We'll pivot. Like always. That night, over meatloaf, his mom's recipe. Tweaked vegan for me, we brainstormed. Community center gig. I suggested, remembering his mentoring passion. He lit up. Sketching plans for workshops, carpentry for at-risk youth. Emphasizing inclusivity. By week's end, he'd pitched it to the local LGBTQ center. Landing funding from a grant I'd nudged his way. Winter brought magic and mishaps. River's first snowman stood lopsided in the yard. Jack hoisting him for the carrot nose. Laughter echoing. But flu season hit hard me down with fever. Jack juggling work and sick kid duty. Superhero. I mumbled through delirium. His cool cloth on my brow a lifeline. Spring renewal, River's preschool play. Him as a tree in a forest fable. Jack filming teary-eyed. Our little oak. He whispered, squeezing my hand. Date night followed babysitter secured. We hit a jazz club downtown. Sax notes weaving through our dances. Slow song. His breath warm on my ear, still get butterflies. Summer road trip echoed our youth, Yellowstone again. Geysers erupting like cheers. River gawked. Jack recounting our old tales minus the angst. Campfire stories blurred generations, his dad's fishing yarns. My urban legends. One night. Stars thick. River asleep in the tent. Jack pulled me close. This is the change I never saw coming. Best one. Fall back to school bustle, River's backpack oversized. Jack packing lunches with notes, love. Dad. My third book tour loomed. Cities blurring, Portland readings packed. San Francisco signings electric. Jack FaceTime nightly. River waving props. Miss your voice. He'd say. And I'd ache till home. Challenges crested mid-tour. Call from the Cider River's fever spiking. Jack drove through night to scoop him. Meeting me at O'Hare. Hugs and baggage claim healed the miles. Team. He murmured. Winter holidays evolved blended traditions. My family's lax with his kin's tamales. River orchestrating carols off-key. Jack's parents. Now regulars. Gifted tools engraved for the builder in you. Tears in their eyes. By River's 10th birthday. He declared himself ally extraordinaire. Rainbow stickers on his bike. Party chaos, piñata swinging. Jack blindfolded and whiffing hilariously. Evening bonfire. Esmore sticky. He leaned in. He's got your heart. And mine. Puberty hit River like a freight train, awkward limbs. Voice cracks. Questions probing deep. Dad, why do people hate us for loving? He'd ask. Post some playground slur. We'd sit him down. Jack blunt, hates their fear. Bud. We choose love. My edition's softer, stories of resilience from pages past. Jack's workshop thrived, teens flocking. One kid confiding his crush. Another coming out mid-sawdust. You're changing lives. I told him. Pride swelling at open house night. My writing shifted memoir hints. Our story veiled, but true. Agent buzzed, publishers eating it up. Launch night. Jack front row with River. Cheers thundering. Summer camp for River. First separation. Us rattling empty. Rediscover us. Jack suggested. We can get away to the San Juans. Kayaks slicing fjords. His paddle sinking mine. Cabin nights, wine. Whispers. Bodies remembering rhythms. Forever feels new. He said. Dawn light gilding us. Fall storms tested Jack's workshop roof, caving under gale. Repairs draining savings. Lean times. He grumbled. But community rallied. Fundraisers. Volunteer hammers. River shoveled gravel. Tiny muscles straining. Family sticks. He declared. Winter quieted Uskakoa by fire. River's robotics club tales. Jack's surprise, woodworking class for 3. Carving a family Crestinerlocked B. J. R. Spring blooms, River's first crush. A classmate girl. Handled with gentle guidance. Heart's own path. Jack advised. Echoing our start. Anniversary hike, same falls. Picnic echoes. Vows whispered, through quakes and calms. River's teens brought rebellion ear piercings. Late curfews. Debates over screens. World's not fair. He'd rage after news of another hate crime. We'd counter with action, volunteering at center. Marching again. Jack's 40th loomed midlife murmurings. Am I enough? He'd ask. Mirror gazing. More than. I'd affirm. Pulling him to bed. My 4th book hit bestseller whispers our naked truth moment fictionalized. Readers resonating. Tour encore, Jack tagging along. Hotel nights electric. Summer odyssey, cross-country drive. Route 66 reversed. Diners. Motels. River shotgun DJ. Grand Canyon rim. Jack's arm around us, infinite. Like us. Fall college apps loomed River's essays raw. Grappling identity. Proud no matter. We chorused. Winter solstice, family ritual. Light strung. Wishes voiced. Jack's, health for our boy. Mine, strength in storms. By River's high school graduation. Caps tossing skyward. Tears flowed free. Speech nod to us. Dad's taught loves the bravest build. Empty nest echoed first dinners for 2. Travel spontaneous, Paris cafes. Tokyo neon. Jack's hand in mine across oceans, adventure still. River's college breaks, stories of activism. A boyfriend shyly met. He's good for you. Jack approved. Grilling burgers. Challenges lingered me knee surgery. Jack's nursing tender. His company merger stress. My pep talk steady. Anniversary stacked, 20th. Vow renewal beachside. Waves applauding. 30th, quiet cruise. Sunsets painting promises. Through it. Love evolved not faded. But deepened. Roots unshakable. A glance in the mirror showed silver hairs. Laugh lines etched. But eyes holding that doorway spark. Jack caught me. Chin on shoulder. Handsome as ever. And you. My walker-in. Rivers wedding mid-20s. To a artist with kind eyes our seats front. Tissues ready. Vows exchanged. He hugged us fierce. Your love built mine. Later. Grandkids toddled little feet pattering our halls. Jack on floors with blocks. Me spinning yarns. 80s crept soft. Aches managed. Memories sharp. Rocking chairs on porch. Hands laced. Sunset gilding the sound. Best change ever. Jack murmured. Breath slowing. Every day with you. I replied. Holding tight. And in the hush, our story whispered onic truth to timeless love. Decades wove tighter. Threads of joy and grit intertwining until the tapestry was ours alone to behold. River's life bloomed parallel, career and social work. Advocating for queer foster kids. His partner's gallery shows drawing us to city openings where we'd sip wine and marvel at abstracts mirroring our chaos. Grandkids twins first. Then a surprise singleton-filled voids with chaos anew. Birthday cake smeared. Lullabies hummed off-key by Jack, who swore he'd stick to hammers over diapers, but melted anyway. One autumn. As maples blazed, Jack's cough lingered, dismissed at first as seasonal. Then diagnosed. Early lung shadows from sight dust. We'll fight, I said. Voice steel. Scheduling scans while he joked about quitting smokes 20 years back. Chemo cycles blurred days, his hand cool in mine during infusions. River flying in with kids for distractions board games. Fort building in the living room. Remission came tentative. Spring birds heralding hope. Second chance. Jack rasped. Stronger hikes reclaiming trails. But it shifted him. Volunteering surged. Workshops for cancer survivors. His story the hook. Love pulled me through. My writing turned reflective memoirs unvarnished. Our doorway moment the prologue. Raw. Reviewers called it. Readers emailing. You gave me courage. Book tours slowed. But each signing felt sacred. Jack beaming from seats. Summer family reunions grew, his Texas roots meshing fuller. Barbecues under oaks where his dad frailer now clapped his back. Knew you'd build something grand. My folks. Silver-haired. Chased grandkids with stories of my wild youth. Fall brought River's milestone promotion to director. Speech crediting the dads who showed me home's a verb. Tears at dinner. Toast clinking. Winter holidays layered traditions thicker, twins elf pranks. Singleton's carol solos. Jack's gift that year, custom jewelry box. Engraved, treasures within. But shadows lengthen me, heart murmur. His knee replacements. Aging's a team sport. He quipped. PT sessions side by side. Grunts sinking. Anniversary 25th, Hawaii luau. Lays fragrant. Hula lessons hilariously botched. Beach walk. Waves lapping. Still my horizon. 30th, European river cruise. Canals reflecting history. Venice gondola. His whisper, Venice has nothing on us. 40s for us meant 60s rivers, kids hitting teens. Attitudes flaring. Echoes of you. Jack teased during a blow-up over curfews. Advice dispensed, listen louder than you lecture. My fifth book capped the series epilogue, Our Enduring Now. Launch intimate. Family core. Applause warm. Summer escapes, cabin returns. Falls roaring eternal. Jack's paddle steadier. Stories deeper. Fall colors, volunteering peak. Center expansion under his lead youth center with trade wing. Named Jack's build. Winter quiet, puzzles by fire. Grandkids visits sporadic but sweet. 70s dawn gentler, travels curtailed. But local joys farmers markets. Poetry readings where I perform. Jack's nods rhythmic. Health tangoed, his pacemaker. My hip scope. Dancing through. He'd say. Waltzing kitchen slow. River's empty nest mirrored ours as divorce amicable. New love budding. Hearts rewrite. We counseled. Over coffee. Grandkids milestones, driver's licenses. Proms. Jack's driving lessons tense but triumphant. Anniversary 35th, backyard bash. String lights twinkling. Vows refreshed under stars. 40th, private. Just us picnic at our falls. Sandwiches echoing youth. Full circle, he said. Ring glinting. 80s settled soft, mornings slow. Coffee black. Hands tracing veins like maps. One spring. Cherry blossoms falling like confetti. Jack's breath shortened again, recurrence quiet but insistent. Hospice talks loomed. But he waved them, not yet. More stories. River orchestrated care. Grandkids rotating visits, teens reading aloud. My chapter's his favorite. Summer waned warm, porch sits. His head on my shoulder. Sound lapping memories. Fall leaves turned. His stories thinning but sharp, that door. Best mistake. Winter solstice, lights dim. Family gathered. His smile faint but fierce. Dawn broke gentle. His hand slack in mine. Breath easing to peace. Grief crashed, tidal days blurred. Nights hollow. River held me. Grandkids hugs anchors. Writing stalled. But words came raw, eulogy for his service. Workshop full. Tools laid like offerings. Spring bloomed, without him falls calling solo. Echoes of laughter. Miss you. I'd whisper to winds. But legacy lived, center thriving. Books enduring. Family woven tight. Years folded, River's remarriage. My great-grand whispers. 90s found me frail, but full porch rockers for one. But spirits crowded. Final sunset. Sound aglow. I smiled, walked in. Changed everything. Wait for me. And in the hush, love lingered naked. True. Timeless. Summer reunions honored him, barbecues with his chili recipe. Toasts to the man who hammered hearts open. Fall hike solo at first. Then with River. Pads less lonely. Winter holidays shifted his chair empty, but spirit full. Grandkids' tales filling gaps. A decade on. 90s creaking. A new love sparked tentative, widower from the center. Shared losses bonding. Jack would approve. River grinned. And dates bloomed, gentle coffee walks. Handholds rediscovering. But core remained, love's mosaic. Peace is his forever,